Marsh, am I overselling this? That had to have been one of the, most notable debate performances of all time, regardless of the race, regardless of the era, with the save maybe back in the 1800s when political candidates would show up and shoot each other at debates. Solve that debate. Right. I solved that debate. I won. I cannot recall anything like that. I mean, there have been some moments in time where you get those great debate moments, but this debate, Oz Fetterman this week, I've never seen anything like that. Marsh working on his Biden impersonation, by the way. That's very good. We might need that later. Coming up, 6:50. So I know we say this all the time. Like, you just think it can't get any worse with the president, the things. And I don't know if he's lying because he thinks everybody is stupid, or is he just stupid and says his stuff, doesn't know what's going on. 6:50. Hear the latest thing that Biden said, but I'll tell you what a lot of folks are excited about right now, especially my good friend Stephanie Bell, Elon Musk. Open up this little box, took out a ring. That ring worth $44 billion. Put it on Twitter's finger. Steph is stoked.
And he tweeted, "The bird is freed."
Free the birds. Free the birds.
And in the process, he fired a whole bunch of people.
He did. He walked in. Yeah.
And Stephanie has tried, and it's something that I think is a big deal. You know, we don't have a check mark next to our news account, nor do I. I see these journalists that aren't even out of college yet getting a check mark. How is that possible?
And let's start here for those that don't know what that means.
Check mark means
a check mark.
A verified account.
A verified account, but again, I don't need their approval, but it'd be nice to have that. We should have it. You're an attorney. You've tried to get it, and we still don't have it.
Yeah, we applied for it. The algorithm's kind of weird, so I don't know what goes in, but so far we haven't been able to achieve that.
And that's just ridiculous. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. Well, that's true. That's. Well, and again, regardless, and I totally understand what you're saying, but it is a big deal to because again, our station is, I'd put our reporting up against anyone, but we don't need their approval.
Brian Hausworth walking around with some swagger.
Yeah, a little swagger
feeling
this morning.
Salty. Salty about those blue check marks. Well,
Yeah.
it was the disinformation czar lady, if you recall, who said, "Oh my gosh, we should only listen to the people with the blue check marks." And of course, like, celebrities have blue check marks. Yeah. But a lot of times news organizations do have them as well. It's interesting. But yeah, no, I'm super pumped. We don't really know what's happening. People are saying all sorts of crazy stuff on Twitter because they're like, well, all the CEOs are gone, so we can just say whatever we want. But Elon is really trying to shore up advertisers, saying, hey, I understand you have some concerns about the changes, but stick with us. And I'm not just going to let Twitter be a free-for-all. But I think a lot of people are hoping he would.
A lot of talk on the TV, too. MSNBC's Alex Wagner.
Musk has already fired the head of legal policy, trust, and safety. So we will see about that free-for-all hellscape promise and whether a certain Twitter account that once coined the term Kofevi is coming back. Side note, just a moment ago, Trump himself issued a statement congratulating Elon Musk on buying Twitter. He says his account will be back on Monday.
Not true. Speaking of disinformation, MSNBC, they fell for a fake post, and that's why, and I know it's easy to blame social media, whether you're talking YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, whatever it is, it's easy to blame them. I blame the people who see that stuff and go, oh, it must be true. I really do. Even before misinformation was a big thing, I'm like, you really believe that Jerry Lee Lewis is dead, which happened this week. The 87-year-old pianist was, TMZ started that. He's dead. He wasn't dead. I blame people. That's your responsibility. It's not the responsibility of these. And I'm not a big fan of social media at all.
No. But can you imagine
trust but verify is a big deal.
Amen,
yeah,
brother.
and the complete and utter meltdown the liberals will have if Trump comes back. Even like if he comes back before the midterms, they are going to freak out because they were so excited when he got kicked off. And I mean, can you imagine Trump coming back after having been away? I mean, he's going to be on a tear.
Making up for lost time. Back pay, as we'd like to call it. 874-9390. Kevin, welcome into Wake Up Mid-Missouri on a Feel Good Friday. What's on your mind?
Well, I got on Twitter this morning, and I had been banned, and I had never really got a post or a tweet posted. I was always commenting on ridiculous, stupid celebrities, but nothing ever posted, but they booted me off forever. And this morning I was able to get on Twitter, and I actually said, Elon, is that you? So, it's pretty amazing.
How about that? So just
it's pretty
like that.
amazing. People who were blocked can now probably get back in. I never actually had a post or a post on Twitter, so they even hit you before stuff gets posted. So
Man, how about that?
Kind of refreshing today.
Kevin, you know what I feel good about on a Feel Good Friday? I feel good that you would take time out of your day to call Wake Up Mid-Missouri and share that story. That's pretty cool. We appreciate you. We hope that you have a great weekend. 874-9390. So Elon Twitter. It was about 10 o'clock last night, our time. It's official. He apparently walks in the place. You're fired. You're fired. You're out of here. They call it cleaning house. They call it a bunch of different things. One dude even got escorted out by security. Wow. Anybody ever been fired like that? Like escorted out of the building? I've seen it. Mm-hmm. It's never happened to me.
Yeah, it's never happened to me either. But I have heard about it / seen it secondhand. But no, I mean, he had to do it though, right? He had to clean house, and it wasn't unsurprising. One of the people he fired is one of the same people that when Twitter implemented some new rules, he just tweeted back at them just the poop emoji. So he fired that person for sure.
874-9390.
Why would that be Branden if he worked for Twitter?
He would be the one being escorted out or the one that got the poop emoji.
Yes.
Meanwhile, we didn't have a chance. Christopher Arps, great. He's like a Missouri political consultant. He's on Newsmax TV all the time now, has his own afternoon radio show in St. Louis. He also does a lot of work with something called Project 21, which is voting rights. So when we talk about voting and stuff like that, implicitly trust what Christopher Arp tells you. We didn't get a chance to ask about it. And we've been recently, and here's what I hate. Like, if we get suspended on Facebook or get put in timeout in YouTube or something, do they tell us why specifically?
Yes, but it's kind of a vague
community guidelines.
Answer.
You violated our community guidelines.
Well, usually what we get flagged for on YouTube is they try to say that we're spreading misinformation. And then on Facebook, they'll tell us like a copyright issue, but they don't tell me where in our 3-hour video we violated that rule. And usually if I appeal it, it's rejected instantly.
Yeah. It's just like it's automatic. It's a stamp. Nope. By the way, I think I know what some of those copyright issues are. By the way, on the YouTube. But so we get suspended on YouTube and Facebook. But one of Christopher's friends, Horace Cooper, wrote a really nice piece on American greatness. And Project 21, what they do is not just voting rights, but they promote the views of black people who are conservatives, really patriotism. They share this entrepreneurial spirit. They have a commitment to personal responsibility. And they've been booted off a couple of times. And one of the things was because of something that Christopher Arp said.
Chris got them banned.
Chris Arps.
Chris and Billy Long, because it was
Billy Long's gotten us kicked off more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's tell the full story there. Congressman Long got us a warning strike, but we weren't in trouble yet.
Oh, that's right, until we talked about it the next day.
Yeah, someone on the show decided to repeatedly play the clip of what Congressman Long said.
Well, but we weren't sure, so I was playing the clip. Is this why we got kicked off of
You were giggling the whole time like a 12-year-old boy. Don't even. And that's when we got our first time out.
And what really sucked about that is we'd been hyping. We're doing this really big YouTube event regarding homelessness, specifically homelessness as it relates to families. That is a very different issue, by the way, that we face a lot here in mid-Missouri, homelessness. But we had this big event planned, and it was going to be YouTube only.
Mm-hmm.
Timing is everything. Or what's the other saying? Karma's a real...
Yeah, you thought you were so funny.
Chris Arps, a prominent radio talk show host, was suspended over making a common sense observation. Because I think this is what happens to us sometimes, too. What did Chris Arps say that got him kicked off of YouTube? He said the majority of gays don't support the sexualization of young children. I think that's a pretty safe statement to make. They kicked him off. The reason? Violates our violent or graphic content policy. Some other things that social media does. A popular talk show host. He was banned from YouTube. And here's what he did. He told his audience that the use of masks lack scientific consensus as a valid means of stopping the spread of COVID-19. CDC, they put out guidance in the past couple of weeks saying masking is largely optional. So CDC's YouTube page is still working. You can get onto YouTube right now. They're saying the same thing that this talk show host said. But the difference is this talk show, he's a conservative. He is a smart person just like you, and that's why he got kicked off. CDC Director Rochelle Walensky claimed last year that vaccinated people do not carry the virus and don't get sick. That is complete lies. That is absolutely wrong. Her YouTube page still accessible. By the way, if you get a chance, go to our Facebook page. Rathert didn't understand the assignment.
Go figure, right?
Yeah, if you're still on Facebook, you can go to Facebook. Stephanie and I had a very special event last night. We'll cover some of that, what they do for the community. Meanwhile, here on a Feel Good Friday, what are you grateful for? What are you feeling good about? 874-9390. Coming up 5 minutes from now, daily D.C. rundown. What's happening in Washington, D.C.? What's the first thing we're going to peek at this morning?
You are going to learn English. You are going to go to the back of the line so that you don't get ahead of somebody who was in Mexico City applying legally. After you've done these things over a certain period of time, you can earn your citizenship.
Former President Barack Obama, he didn't believe those things anymore. Frankly, I'm not real sure he said he meant those things. I'm not sure he believed that when he said it then. He just wanted to tell folks what they wanted to hear. Hey, there's a process when it comes to illegal immigration. That's not the case anymore. Record number of encounters at the border. Record number of people dying from fentanyl overdoses because of the fentanyl that comes through our secure border. So why are we starting off with former President Obama? Why is that getting us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Powell?
Well, apparently he's more liked now than he was when he was in office, and he's actually liked, which differentiates him from Joe Biden. So they've got him out on the campaign trail. He's going to Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Pennsylvania in the next week, leading up to the election, trying to help the Democrats do anything but just get.
That's got to be embarrassing when, in effect, you're in charge of something. You're in charge of America. And you are so inept at your job that you, in effect, have to go back to your former boss. Hey, can you help me out, man? I'm just not getting this.
Embarrassing. Well, the Democrats are calling in the big guns. So they're calling in Obama. They're also calling in Liz Cheney in Michigan.
God.
In Michigan, Liz Cheney has formally endorsed Representative Elisa Slotkin, and she is a Democrat. They served on a committee together, and she said, maybe we have some policy disagreements, but she's a good public servant against the Republican Tom Barrett. And that race is considered a toss-up. So Obama and Liz Cheney calling in the big guns for the Democrats.
How about that? I wonder what how Liz Cheney's dad is reacting. I mean, she got clobbered in that race in Wyoming, and now in effect, she's gone full on D. I wonder what old Dick is doing.
She said she was raising money and that she was going to do something, but we haven't seen anything yet.
She also compared herself to Abraham Lincoln the night she got clobbered.
Yikes. That is terrible. Lisa Murkowski is also, there was another debate in Alaska last night. She is saying she wants results, not partisan political rhetoric. And she is facing the Donald Trump-backed Republican rival Kelly Tshibaka. Now, those are both Republicans, but if you recall, Alaska has ranked choice voting, so they had that Final Four thing, which we narrowly escaped. And I think it's really interesting. So you've got two Republicans at the top, then you've got someone who they basically said is way behind in fundraising, and then the fourth candidate suspended his campaign and has endorsed Tshibaka. So the whole thing was, let's get four people on and let him duke it out, and then it's really come down to a two-person race anyway. So I think it's an interesting reflection on ranked choice voting, which I think we might have that discussion again in Missouri in the future.
It's like a magic formula that they use to try to figure out those races. Seriously,
it is. Well, and apparently Trump has been to Alaska recently and called Murkowski one of the worst senators even imaginable. I think that was ever imaginable. I think there's a typo here. But anyway, he thinks she's terrible, which is exactly, it's those kinds of, flat statements that I really want to see Trump back on Twitter. Also, Joe Biden yesterday was in New York campaigning. I don't think anyone was with him, but he said, on my watch, Made in America isn't just a slogan, it's a reality.
Oh, my God.
Give me a break.
And you got to hear, I want you to hear what Joe Biden said. It's Biden's boldest BS yet. We're going to do that at 6:50. Feel Good Friday. What are you grateful for? 874-9390. Wearing red to remember everyone deployed. We encourage you to do the same as you leave for work this morning. What we know about the survivor from that 40-year-old cold case out of Colombia and how they caught this dude. We're covering that 5 minutes from now.
I love taking tests. You remember stuff like this? Who won the Peloponnesian War? The Peloponnesian people.
Technically, that is correct. Dennis Regan. I don't know if you've ever heard of the comedian Brian Regan. Really good. I love Brian Regan. Apparently, this is his brother. He's not too bad either. One of the big things this week, test scores, test scores, test scores. This was not just a nationwide conservative talking point. This was a fact for us locally and here in Missouri, and all these educators are standing. What happened to the test scores? Why did they go down, man? They plummeted. They went down pretty quick. Well, they went down because progressives, they took kids out of schools, and people like you probably said, hey, all things considered, this is really not a good idea. Specifically, people said this is going to cause mental health issues for kids, learning issues. And now you've got educators nationwide and here in Missouri going, whoa, what do we do? And they're complaining on a national level, $300 billion extra allocations for education just to try to get things back on track. And I'm wondering, because we have these, we talk about these generation gaps, Gen X. John, you're not baby boomer. Are you Gen X? Or are you kind of ambiguous there? Are you generationally unhoused? I like it, right? Agent Marsh. Learned yesterday this about John Marsh. He went, not only did he want to be a CIA agent, he actually went and started the process. Agent Marsh. By the way, 30 seconds, dreams. Just like that, dreams shattered for a young Mr. Marsh. You know why I'm pulling for the Philadelphia Phillies in the World Series? Care less about the World Series, but I have a reason. No, there's an outfielder, apparently pretty good. And I noticed this whenever the Phillies quickly sunk the Cardinals' postseason hopes. Really? I didn't know that. I had noticed, but he's got a really cool name. This outfielder's name for the Philadelphia Phillies? Hannah, what's your hesitation? You look real nervous.
I'm just giving you the stink eye because I'm afraid of where this is going. I don't know the player's name, but you have that look on your face.
Like it's Branden Rathert.
No. I know very few people that have the last name Rathert.
It's either going to be something that sounds somewhat dirty or something that sounds like a curse word.
Outfielder's name for the Philadelphia Phillies, Branden Marsh. How about that?
Do you guys have a love child?
God. All right, let's move forward. Where were we? Oh, yeah, railing on schools. We need to get that jersey front, and it'd be nice if we get both names on there. It'd be pretty cool. All right. And that's why we're pulling for the Philadelphia Phillies in this year's World Series. There's Agent Marsh. Good morning, bud. Mrs. Stephanie Bell's here.
Good morning.
There's producer Hannah.
Good morning.
Brian.
I'm Googling jerseys at the moment.
Jerseys, how much for a Branden Marsh jersey? I am Branden Rathert. That is John Marsh. If you get a chance, Stephanie and I last night, huge event, and there's an interesting picture that we have posted on our Facebook page. But this event last night, remarkable.
Yeah, first time event, I believe, for Jefferson City. It's called RACS, Rape and Abuse Crisis Center, does amazing work in mid-Missouri and surrounding areas for women, has for a number of years, and they were there last night to raise money, emceed by our sister station friend, Erin from Cat Country. Great attendance there at, it's Capitol Bluffs right there by Turkey Creek Golf Center. But yeah, Branden, it was a masquerade ball, so folks had...
Did you see the picture, Hannah?
I did.
Houseworth?
I saw you. You look good. You both look good.
I look good because you can't see my face.
So I have a very beautiful, lace gold mask with a dress, and Branden has on the blue surgical mask.
They said it was a masked up event. It was a masquerade.
And people on the Facebook and Twitter were asking about your shoes too.
He did have closed-toed shoes. He was being an adult.
I thought you both looked great.
It was kind of chilly.
And that is a great cause.
Yeah.
They really do a great job down, and that's, wow. The work they do, very powerful.
And we don't understand. I should speak for myself. I don't understand. stand on my first wife. She worked at a center like that in Twin Falls, Idaho, so I'm kind of familiar with it. But, like, we don't know how these things really unfold, whether we're talking about True North or Rax. But and so many times we say, well, just leave. And it's listen, when I was drinking and it was causing me problems, people say, well, why don't you just quit drinking? And I'd go, I had never thought about that. Yeah, I had thought about it. These people that are trapped in these relationships, yeah, they think about leaving. They simply cannot, because it's not just physical abuse. It is this mind control, mind lock.
Emotional abuse.
Yes.
For sure. And it was, it was really powerful. They had 3 women get on stage and tell their stories. And the question that I remember and that struck me the most was they said, where do you think you would be without Rax? And they basically all said 6 feet under. I don't think I would have made it.
Yeah, it's crazy. Coming up 8:35 this morning, we're picking winners and losers of the week. Jim Dyke, cartoonist, Jefferson City News Tribune, very talented cartoonist, by the way. Also, Cottonstone Gallery. He is joining us a little bit before 9 o'clock this morning. Hounsworth, this case is almost 40-year-old cold case. What happened here?
We got a news release yesterday. Not a whole lot of time. Thank goodness I was in the newsroom, so I was able to get a few things done and get down there. But I can tell you that I always look at arrests that come in on the 0700, and I'm good about checking indictments on CaseNet as well as best I can. So it's not like I missed anything. I later learned that this actually had been removed from CaseNet for 5 days to give them time to go down and serve the warrant. But basically, a 1984 high-profile rape and attempted murder. To the best of my knowledge, and Layla Mitchell, I think, confirmed this last night, it looks like the Missourian wrote one article about it in 1984. I wasn't sure at the time if that was the right one, but apparently it is. But a horrific case, a young female here in Columbia.
She was like 17 years old.
Was walking at Wilkes in Providence, going to work. A total stranger was in that area walking, had a car parked nearby. You almost wonder if he had seen her walking before. According to the charges, he pulled a pocket knife out, forced her into his vehicle. I'm not going to be graphic, but I'll explain what happened as best I can. He drove her, forced her into the car, drove her to an area he knew exactly where he was going, up on Wellington Drive, up near Mexico Gravel Road, northeast Columbia, very rural. Not a whole lot of houses there. It was at the dead end. Allegedly raped her in the car, allegedly raped her outside the car, and then forced her out to a wooded area. And then this is what's really horrific. All of it is. There's just every bit of detail. He's accused of taking his pocket knife and trying to kill her by slashing her throat. She's had to have multiple surgeries due to her trachea and vocal cords. And the CPD was looking for a green muscle car, 2 doors. She did everything right. She reported immediately, went to the hospital right away. They did the DNA test. They were looking for this vehicle. They pulled this guy over in his exact vehicle 1 year later in 1985. But the court documents.
So they had him. At one point.
They had him pulled over. Now they didn't announce that yesterday, and I haven't seen this reported hardly yet. But it's buried in that court document that I went to pick up yesterday. They had him. My gut feeling, and the police won't be able to address this, my gut feeling is probably they didn't think they had enough evidence to charge him. So we're not being critical of the CPD by it, but it's in there. They did have the right guy when an officer pulled him over. He was driving a 1970 Oldsmobile Cutlass. But very quickly, Brandon, the biggest thing I asked Assistant Chief Hunter yesterday, who did a lot of the talking, I'm trying to find out when James Wilson lived in Columbia. And they don't really know right now. They know he grew up here. They're not even sure where he went to high school. And if people know it, there was no battle. So it was either Rockbridge or Hickman, unless he went to private school. But they've set up a special tip line, 573-874-7400. If people have information about him, they really believe he could have additional victims.
How 40 years later did they catch up with this guy? DNA.
Yes.
Somebody researching a family tree.
That's right.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
That is. So I see all these commercials, and my grandfather, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago, he did some research on the family tree before it was easily accessible on the internet. You can still find it on the internet 20 years ago, but not quite. Like, you have companies that do this. Here, we'll send this to your home. You swab it, send it back, and we'll put you in a criminal data, or we'll research your family tree for you. I mean, Marsh, you ever done work on your family tree? Yeah. Yeah. So we go out west to Washington. There's somebody in a lab, and he's a genealogical archaeologist, lives in Washington, and he's doing a family tree for these people. And all of a sudden, he says, oh, huh." Makes the connection with the Columbia Police Department, and that's how they got this guy. Linked his DNA to the DNA of a rape kit that was out at the time. His DNA was identified from a family tree.
There's no doubt about it. And again, to Chief Jones, to Assistant Chief Hunter, to Tony Messina, the chief. He didn't break down and start, because he's a very emotional guy, and he takes his stuff very seriously. It's very important to him. He actually talked directly to the victim. He looked right into the camera yesterday, Brandon, and said, "We are here for you. We are here to stand by you." He also said that when pressed, because a reporter had a question about cold case, and Jeremiah didn't really want to go there, but he went back up to the podium. He said, "I got something I want to say." And he said, without elaborating on details, CPD has a cold case unit. They're looking into a number of cases, and he is optimistic about some other cases, apparently unrelated to this. I know there's at least 2 cases I follow up with, both Jeff and Jeremiah, and I know that they know of my interest because of stories, but there's other cases out there. So the police, now what we don't know, is he going to fight extradition? We don't know.
And I wondered, like, if for people that want to research their family tree, are they using these companies where they send you the kit at home? Heck, you can get can get tested for colon cancer at home. They said, you know what I'm talking about, House, where you can call this 800 number and they will send you a box and you put your sample in.
Freedom.
We talk about mailing ashes of deceased people through the mail. You in this box and you
mail it off.
Mail it off. My gosh. But I just wonder when you hear stories like, and I'm guessing you haven't done anything wrong that you'd be worried about finding on your family tree, but there's a lot of folks, I think, that are like, I don't know about this DNA testing. You got my stuff. The government's going to get it. It's on record. And I want to say this before we move forward. I do want to get to some other things this morning. I do applaud Columbia Police Chief Jeff Jones yesterday at this presser that we were watching. He didn't refer to this 17-year-old woman from 40 years ago, didn't refer to her as a victim. He referred to her as a survivor. And I thought that was really cool that he would go out of his way to say something like this. All right, we know one of the things Biden said earlier this week.
If you don't have one of those loans, you just get $10,000 written off. It's passed. I got it passed by a vote or two.
No, you didn't get it passed. You just did it. And by the way, I thought this was loan forgiveness. I'm guessing I'm understanding, like, they're actually going to mail checks.
I don't think so. I think it's loan forgiveness.
All right, that's what I thought, too. There's a story that says these are checks coming out.
Huh.
Yeah, that's
a disaster waiting to happen.
Now, I think if you did the thing where you applied saying that you had made payments since 2020.
Oh, okay.
If you sent that application in, I believe they're reimbursing you with a check in the mail.
You know, I made a lot of payments since 2009.
Did you get your check yet?
No.
Oh, wait, we do have one right here in the studio from Whip Shop.
It's even got Stephanie's teardrops on it.
Right.
Coming up 5 minutes from now. So Biden yesterday, student loan forgiveness. I got it to pass through the Senate. It was a vote or two, but you didn't do jack, man. And now the latest thing that he said, and I don't know, is he's either lying by what he said, or it really is that bad in the upstairs portion of Biden's head. I mean,
Some airlines, if you want 6 more inches between you and the seat in front, you pay more money. But you don't know it until you purchase your ticket. Look, folks, these are junk fees. They're unfair, and they hit marginalized Americans the hardest, especially low-income folks and people of color.
Airline seats are racist. So that was one of the things Joe Biden said this week. Airline seats are racist. He falsely claimed that he got student loan forgiveness passed by a vote or two, which seriously, you hear that? Do you think, okay, he's just lying and assuming everybody, oh, yeah, Biden, he got that. What great work on the part of Joe there. He got it by only 1 or 2 votes. Does he think people are stupid? Or, so it's one of two things. He really is that bad and should not be a leader, or he's just flat out lying. So those are two things he said this week, and there's people that there's still like a minuscule, there's still people in America that approve of Joe Biden's job. There are still people who approve of this. It blows me away. So those said those earlier this week. Then yesterday, he continues his bold BS.
Today, the most common price of gas in America is $3.39, down from over $5 when I took office.
Gasoline was not $5 when he took office.
It was 2.
It was
like under 2.
It was like $2. Do you think he's lying, or is he just that stupid?
I think he's very confused.
I think he's lost. And there's people, yeah, but I want him to be president. Well, why do you want him to be president? Well, because I can't change my mind. I can't evolve on things. Same thing with Fetterman. Well, you shouldn't make fun of him in that debate. He's probably a good policy leader. No, he is just somebody not qualified to be a leader. As a matter of fact, so right before the 2020 election, gas was about $1.90, $1.95 a gallon. This, according to the American Automobile Association. 1 year later, it had jumped almost $1 a gallon. I don't know what average price is today. I think last I paid for it was $3.49. But for Joe Biden to say,
down from over $5 when I took office.
It's still $3.69 in California.
$3.69.
Diesel is like $5.19 a gallon, I think.
Have you been following? Apparently, and I don't know how accurate. There's a bunch of news outlets certainly reporting it, but apparently we're going to be running out of diesel in like 3 or 4 weeks. I don't know if anybody's heard that. I don't know how legit it is. If it's just another Democrat scare tactic. We're going to scare Americans into submission a la COVID.
That would be bad for me, as I have a bunch of diesel engine
deliveries from Amazon.
No, trolleys that need to get around. I'll have to research that.
Yeah, check it out. Welcome into a feel-good Friday. What is it you're grateful for? 874-9390. Coming up, we have good news. Good news for Americans on a feel-good Friday. We are doing that for you at 7:10. It's Wake Up Mid-Missouri. Performance, one of the highlights of this week. 8:35 this morning on a Feel Good Friday. We are picking winners and losers. And especially the more localer, the more betterer. We like it. If you have
You changed your own quote.
Product of public education. The more localer, the more importanter. If you have suggestions for winners of the week, especially locally, whether it's politics, somebody you know in your circle of friends, coworkers, family, send that stuff to us via text, 874-9390. And this is something that we do every Friday. We pick winners and losers. We used to nominate them. Well, we started out by picking them, and then people got mad. Who are you to pick the winners and pick the losers? You're picking winners. You're picking losers. You know, we criticize politicians for picking winners and losers. It's like the feds right now picking electric vehicles to be winners, which is BS. So then we said, okay, so we'll nominate winners and losers of the week. And then people got mad about that and said, well, why don't you actually take a stand, man? You see the position that we're in, and probably you might be into. It's a no-win situation. Whatever you're doing, people ain't happy.
Yeah, someone's always going to be ticked off.
Yeah. It's
Who
like
cares?
being in a relationship.
What?
Not
That's
necessarily.
All right, welcome into the show. That is producer Hannah, who's getting ready to get married. Good morning.
Good morning.
Stephanie Bell, been married for like 15 years. That's pretty impressive.
I'm an old lady.
Marsh is here, too. You want to? How long you been married? Forever? In a good way. My name is Branden Rathert.
How long you been married?
Combined?
Yeah.
Both marriages? 3 years combined? Both or maybe 4. Maybe it was 4. I'll go for that upper end.
Of course.
Married twice for a total of 4 years. 2 very wonderful strikeout ratio. By the way, Paul Goldschmidt, finalist for Major League Players' Choice Award. Also MVP. I don't know what. Yeah. Brian Ellsworth is here. Okay, some of the big things this morning before we move on to some of the other stuff. Mexico, public schools, canceled classes, apparently a threat made to school. How do we do? It used to be, man, if you wanted to cancel classes, somebody had to walk out of the classroom and pull the old fire alarm, smoke alarm. Remember the little red box on the wall? You pulled it and the bell would go off and everybody would have to go outside, which was cool, unless it was January. That wasn't fun. Did you what? Yeah. Almost literally got caught red-handed. And how do we do in college?
People definitely pulled the fire alarm. I remember spending many 2 a.m. evacuating my dorm, standing out for them to clear. And it was always pretty fun because you would see people and you'd be like, you don't live in this dorm. What are you doing here?
It's like worse than the walk of shame.
Oh, it was awful. And of course, Kirksville is like the coldest place on earth. So
Yeah,
it was
always
there was
is.
a lot of long nights of
It's always
people.
about 10 degrees colder up
Yes.
there. It always is.
And for some reason, drunk people love to pull the fire alarm. So we spent a lot of time outside.
My fire alarm in my dorm room was almost the reason that we had to evacuate one time at 2 a.m. I thought it'd be a good idea to microwave some cookie dough because I thought it would make like one cookie.
I remember this.
Yeah, I successfully made a hockey puck. And, yeah. The fire alarm in my dorm room was going off at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was scared to death thinking I was going to get in trouble. And the RA or nobody ever came and checked on me.
Wow.
Which I was grateful for at the time, but then later on, you're like, wait a second. I could have been really in trouble, and nobody came to see if I was okay.
Hold up a minute. 2 things. I could have been in trouble, and I didn't know they was all hooking up. Did you see them down in the next room? I didn't know they all stayed together once in a while. So threat Mexico High School, abundance of caution. Let's just cancel classes. Hey, why not? Wake Up Mid-Missouri celebrates Feel Good Fridays, Mexico Public Schools. We're going to take the day off, too. Are they playing ball tonight, though?
They're not playing ball, but it's because of a bye week. But just to follow up, I did check with our former colleague here, 93.9 The Eagles, Matthew Pilger, who's now the assistant editor of the Mexico Ledger. And no, they have a bye week this week. But Brandon, based on what, I'm not going to elaborate other than to say that he sent me basically what the threat was or what was implied, and they're making the right decision. That's
Yeah,
all.
I mean,
They have to take precautions. They take it very seriously. I hope they're able to find who. There clearly was a threat made. Clearly.
So good news this morning on the political front. We are 11 days away from the election. I got my ballot. And I'm wondering this because of all the my sample ballot of all the things out there, the confusion over Amendment 3 and then judges, I still don't understand why we vote on judges.
Judges retention, right?
Yeah. But I'm wondering, what if I just go in and I don't have to fill in the circles on every single issue, do I?
No.
So I'm thinking about this last night as I'm trying to figure out. I'm pretty much I'm good. I think I know how I am voting on everything. But then I thought, because usually races are easy, issues are easy. But I'm wondering, well, how about I'm just going to go vote for Schmidt, Alford, Luca Meyer, Dave Griffith, who we saw last night with his lovely wife.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he was bidding on? The big thing he was bidding on? I'll tell you just a minute from now.
Sure.
It's pretty cool because it was somebody from Zimmer. They were battling.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're not going to fill some stuff in? You feel comfortable letting the good people of Boone County decide those things for you, Brandon?
Well, that's the thing.
I don't know about
and that's
that.
where I know. That's why I get conflicted. I'm like, okay, if I don't know enough about like the judges, I have no problem in not voting on the judges. That never bothers me. But what I don't like, what happens if I'm walking out of a polling place and I'm like, man, I didn't vote. Does anybody else do? Like, there's some things I'm voting this, and that. I'm voting for Connie Leopard and Shimon Jones. And I'm voting for Sam Bushman. And I'm voting for I'm voting all those. But some things I just leave blank. But I don't, because I've done that before on some things. But I walk out of the polling place and I don't feel good about it. I feel like I've been in a dorm room where I shouldn't have been, and the fire alarm got pulled, and I'm outside standing, and people are going. So I
get more mad when I talk to my husband and I realize our votes canceled each other out. It doesn't happen very often, but occasionally.
To Brandon's point, I remember my grandmother was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat and the grandfather was a dyed-in-the-wool Republican, but it was a time when they got along and everything like that, which I think is great. To Brandon's point, I definitely encourage people to check their mailboxes because Breonna Lennon did mail those sample ballots, and they're in there, and you can really and you're free to take those to the polls with you. What I've tried to do as well in the news, those ballot issues, those amendments, a couple of those are confusing. I'm going to have a story next week, but one amendment you did not mention, Brandon, is Amendment 1. There's a lot of concern. Some teachers are worried that could affect their retirement. I don't read that the ballot language it's going to do that, but actually Scott Fitzpatrick, our state treasurer, is going to call me today. There's no organized opposition to it. Basically, what it would do is allow the treasurer to invest in municipal bonds, basically, is how I read that. Now, that may sound mundane or whatever. Believe me, to people that it impacts, it's huge.
So let me ask
the biggest issue on the ballot for them.
When you come out with this, and we're going to have all this stuff posted on our websites, 939theeagle.com and kwos.com. Are you going to explain it to me like I'm 2 years old? But more importantly, at the end of your tell me how I'm supposed to vote, okay?
I don't think I can do that.
All right.
I
thought I would take a stab.
But I definitely will simplify.
So
for
11 days from now, New York Times did something kind of interesting. They went into specific congressional districts nationwide, and asked issues, both parties, what's when they need an equal number of folks. Bottom line is, abortion is not the it's not front and center as it was earlier this summer following the SCOTUS decision. It's not front and center. Guess what's front and center? Number one issue in 4 specific districts, Pennsylvania, Nevada, New Mexico, and Kansas. Number one issue for all voters combined. Anybody want to make a guess?
Economy.
Hannah?
I would also say the economy.
Marsh? You're all correct. You all win. See me after the show, and I've got prizes for you.
No thanks.
Also good news. I like off the text, 874-9390. Travis, you know what he's grateful for on a Feel Good Friday? He says, I don't have to be me until Monday. Amen. Mm-hmm. I dig that. By the way, if you're watching on our YouTube channel, go to YouTube, Wake Up Mid-Missouri, and they're all wearing red. Is that intentional? And it is.
Yeah. Every Friday we wear red to remember everyone deployed.
And we say that not to brag, but to say, maybe before you leave the house, you want to put on red. It's just kind of a cool little thing, a little small thing that we can do to actually show. Because what do we say all the time? We appreciate our law enforcement. We appreciate veterans. We appreciate the military. Just a small way to show it.
And actually, a couple weeks ago, I said on air that I needed to get a red sweatshirt because it was getting chilly in the studio, and I didn't have a red sweatshirt. My mom surprised me last week with the red sweatshirt, and it says Future Mrs.
Aw. Oh, cute. I love that.
Is that what I need to do? I just make wishes on the radio. Chris, are you listening? My anniversary is coming up.
Maybe my mom will pull through.
Okay.
Chris, I'd like that new electric Hummer, by the way.
Oh, boy.
Here's more good news. This is all, and by the way, and polls are continuing for what polls are worth. They're continuing to show that hey, that hype for Democrats at the beginning of the summer has pretty much gone away. There's audio of Chuck Schumer. I was going to play it, but it's not discernible. But Chuck Schumer, President Joe, yesterday talking. I think they were on a tarmac or something somewhere, and Schumer's like, "Man, we got our ass kicked in that debate Tuesday night, didn't we? Didn't?" And Joe's saying, yeah, they were also, the two of them, private conversation caught on a hot mic expressing concern over the Georgia Senate race. Herschel Walker, Raphael Warnock. So a lot of good things looking good. And if you're on Twitter and you're about freedom of speech, good news for you, too. About 10 o'clock our time last night, Elon Musk walks into Twitter headquarters, says, you're fired. You're fired. You're out of here. You're out, too. But first, let's get us a security guard because we're escorting your ass out of the place. Man, humbling. One of our listeners texted earlier this morning because I was wondering, has anybody ever actually been relieved of their duties and walked out of your workplace with security?
You said duties.
Have you ever seen it, Marsh? Really? What is? Because it's just so weird. Because what was the first thing that went through your mind when you see somebody being escorted out of your workplace by security? What's the first thing you think? Could be. Or I think, oh, my God, they've been embezzling money. They've been taking, what have they been doing? They've been grabbing rear ends. And what did they do? They got to be walked out by security. One of our listeners texted, says, I was walked out, relieved of my duties, walked out, security. I said, what'd you do? He says, nothing. I worked at a knife factory. It was just standard. Standard
Fair.
procedure.
And I think sometimes employers have concerns about like your access to your computer, right? If you know you're fired and you still have access to the company system.
I'm getting on the company's Twitter page and talking smack about everybody in this building.
Sure.
Oh. Whoa.
Oh, ouch.
That's impactful and not in a good way. So Elon Musk, last night, officially taking over. Meanwhile, it was $44 million. You know how much this dude who came up to, went to the Stanton Brothers egg farm, you know how much money he's lost? Mark Zuckerberg, this metaverse thing. He has lost billions of dollars.
I mean, the thing for me about Elon that really makes me happy, and I woke up this morning, it kind of felt like Christmas, honestly. It's been a long time coming, but a person who will put their money where their mouth is. And we see so many people out there complaining about social media, and obviously Elon has resources that a lot of people don't have. But there are a lot of other rich people out there who complain a lot, who don't do much about it. And I'm excited. I'm excited to see where he takes Twitter.
Meanwhile, Jim Cramer on MSNBC or CNBC's, I don't know, Squawk Box or whatever, he'd been hyping Metaverse, and it's tanking. It's tanking on the stock market. He's apologizing.
Last year, 9.5 billion, now less than 1 billion. Yeah, let me say this about this. I made a mistake here. I was wrong.
So he was telling everybody to buy this, and it tanked. And I thought he got in trouble for the same thing like 14, 15 years ago. He was telling people to invest in housing or something in the housing bubble of 2008.
I want to add one of those VR things to my Christmas list. You know, Zuckerberg did like a long podcast with Joe Rogan and talked about his vision for the metaverse, and I thought it was interesting. Now, it's expensive. What are the headsets, like a $1,500?
Yeah, pretty spendy. Coming up, we are going to be doing What's Hot With. Hannah, what do you have for us today?
Well, something kind of unfortunate happened yesterday. It was my first real fiasco with wedding planning.
Good morning. 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:28.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
7:28. Ouch. But so yesterday I had my first wedding planning fiasco problem. You know, I'm 4 months almost into wedding planning. It was bound to happen eventually. I had ordered our save the dates, which are essentially pre-wedding invitations, which don't get me started on that. They go out really
either.
They go out really early, and then you still have to send out like a formal wedding invitation closer to the wedding. I don't get it, but whatever. I accidentally had them shipped to the wrong address. I was living in an apartment in Jefferson City last year, and they got shipped to that apartment complex.
Uh-oh.
My wonderful fiance had to go steal them off of someone's front porch when he got off work yesterday. So I have them in my possession, so it's a happy ending. But I want to know from the Wake Up family, if you have planned a wedding, what is something that went wrong during the wedding planning process?
Something that went wrong during the wedding planning process. You got a juicy story, let us know about it. 874-9390.
If this is the only fiasco I have during wedding planning, I will be okay with that, but I'm sure there will be more to come.
Any big issues, Steph?
I can think of a few.
A few? All right, coming up a few minutes from now. The number of cases of tainted candy over the years been handed out during trick-or-treating, Halloween Monday. By the way, weather Monday looks good. Temps in the upper 60s.
Sometimes the teachers would say this. They'd say, there's no such thing as a stupid question. I liked it when they said, you know what I would do when they said that? I would raise my hand. Yes, Mrs. Baxter, is it possible for a 12-year-old boy to get pregnant from reading comic books? No? Oh, okay, I got some misinformation from my older brother.
I wonder if teachers still answer that way. Can I, as a dude, get pregnant? I'm guessing teachers nowadays saying, yeah, you sure can. You can do whatever you want in life, Timmy. By the way, one of the things I feel good about on a Feel Good Friday, MSNBC impaneling independent voters and Democrat voters, talking about what are the big issues for you on MSNBC. Two big highlights, and I think things that hold some promise for Republicans. One of the things that happened, these were Biden voters.
Should Joe Biden run again?
No. And that was quick. No editing there. The other thing they did, they were talking about what are the issues? A Democrat and an independent saying it's wokeness. It's wokeness. If you're a dude, I'm going to call you a dude. If you're a chick, I'm going to call you a chick. If you want to do what you want to do, that's fine. And if you're a chick, you should play chick sports. If you're a dude, you play with the dudes. These are Democrats going, man, we've gone way overboard here.
Whole woke culture affecting our children. All these elementary schools and middle schools having woke culture pushed on them from the LGBT plus community.
And they're saying, we're not doing this anymore. And so I think it's very promising. It's like, I like it. You ever been hungover? By the way, Hannah,
yes.
We've got some comments. Hannah, what's hot with Hannah? We do it every morning, 7:25-ish. Any mistakes during the wedding planning process? Hannah had save the date things delivered to the wrong house. There was more to the story. I completely forgot about this as you were telling it. But there's more. There's more context.
Yeah, I just didn't have enough time to tell the full story,
Because somebody was running behind.
Yeah. As my fiance was picking them up from some innocent person's porch yesterday, he called me to tell me the good news that, they were still there and we didn't just lose $250. And I was like, I must have just been so excited to order them that I just wasn't paying attention. And he reminded
her
that I had already started drinking when I ordered them.
Oops.
So there is a very good chance that is why I did not double check the address that it was shipping to.
And what's kind of unique about that is you don't imbibe. I mean, it's very rare that I've at least have ever. I mean, when you were 16, you probably drank more when you were 17 than you do now, from my recollection.
No, I don't drink very often, but when I do, it's like I'm drinking.
I don't drink very often, but when I do, I have wedding invites mailed to the wrong house.
Luckily, I had designed them way before I started drinking, so everything is spelled correctly and all that fun stuff. But yeah, I just didn't double check the shipping info.
And this wasn't wedding related, but I have an invitation snafu. And after you have a baby now, you send out like an announcement, like, look at my cute little baby, blah, blah, blah. I ordered, hundreds expensive, little announcements, and they came, and I had put the wrong birth date on
Nice work.
Whoops.
Yeah.
And I was devastated and cried and cried and cried. And actually, I explained what happened to the company, and I said I need and they actually resent them for free, which was so kind, because in that first couple, I was just like a hormonal lack of sleep, it was sad.
So Patty actually commented on our live video feed on our Facebook page, and she said that I just need to make sure the wedding photographer takes the lens cap off before the wedding starts.
No.
Oh my
She said,
gosh.
yes, it happened to me. Oh, I would be sick.
Whoa.
I was telling Hannah, my florist, this didn't happen to me, but it did happen at a different wedding. My florist said, hey, I said, why do you have an extra boutonniere? And they said, well, for grandma's boyfriend. And I said, well, my grandma doesn't have a boyfriend. And they said, are you sure? And I said, I think so. And they said, well, we've shown up to weddings before, and grandma was very angry that there was not a boutonniere for her boyfriend. So then we approached the bride and said, hey, you only ordered 8 boutonnieres. You didn't order one for grandma's boyfriend. And the bride goes, my grandma has a boyfriend? And so they said, we always come prepared with an extra one just in case grandma got a boyfriend.
Or 2.
You never know.
So Hannah, she didn't drink a whole lot and drank, But we've all, at one point in life, Marsh, you've been probably hungover, probably not recently, but right, you've all maybe one night had a little too much to drink and regretted doing.
I'm young enough that I don't get hungover too often. The one and only time I was wine drunk, though, I felt like crap the next day.
Wow. So we've all been hungover, maybe done something. You're like, I got a little mouthy last night at the party, or I was at this gala last night. As a matter of fact, Stephanie and I were at this gala for the Rax Gala last night. First year they've done this masquerade. Two things. Number one, great picture posted on our Facebook page.
Well, half of the picture is great.
I misunderstood what this masquerade event was about. By the way, Dave Griffith, state rep, he was there with his lovely wife. It's just really neat to meet her because we get to know all these people, but then meeting the other halves is always fascinating. Oh, yeah. It was funny because we had a Zimmer employee. He goes up and he makes a bid on the silent auction. He bids $50. And I'm like, yeah, man, you could do it. $50, nobody else is bidding. And then we go up like 5 minutes later, and the second bid was for...
Don't say it.
Okay. Second bid was more than $50.
It was a winning bid.
It was a winning bid. Magic Johnson Lakers jersey.
It's pretty
was
cool.
What he bid on. Yeah. There were stains on it, like dribbled chocolate down the front of it and stuff. It was. I don't know if it was game worn or not. That's a good question. But yeah, State Rep Dave Griffith was bidding on that. So I bring up the stuff about you go out and you get drunk and you do something and you wake up the next day and you go, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I think that's what a lot of, number one, regretful Biden voters are doing. These people that have gone with his woke BS. Well, she wants to be identified as a girl, so I'm going to call. And that's fine. If you want to do it, it's fine. But don't make me do it. So I think this wokeness stuff, as we heard from this guy who voted for Biden, he's like, this is crazy. I think these people that voted for Biden and these people that when they send out their emails and you can identify me as a she or he, I think these people are waking up going, like they were hungover. They're going, man, I was drunk. What the hell was I thinking last night? I think that's what these people are doing when it comes to this woke BS. They're waking up and going, holy cow. What was I doing? That's what I'm hopeful for as we are 11 days out from the election. Welcome into the show. Something we can do for you. 874-9390. Coming up an hour from now, we're doing winners and losers of the week. When you were a kid, was there this? Because I remember as a kid, it was every year before you go trick-or-treating, Mom and Dad were adamant. Don't eat any of that candy until you get home. Well, how come? Well, perverts out there putting needles and drugs in the Reese's peanut butter cup and stuff like that. And every year we'd come home with our haul and we'd have to pour all the candy out on the floor. And Mom and Dad, and I don't know exactly what they did because we didn't have an x-ray machine at our house. So I don't know how they checked for needles and embedded glass.
They did what every parent does, and they gathered up all the Reese's, and they said, one for you, one for me.
Took me a lot of years to figure that out, Steph. Hi, Mom and Dad. Right, John? Yeah.
It's like the videos every year where you prank your kids and you tell them that you ate all of their Halloween candy. I look forward to those every year.
So for years, we grew up people. I remember there were hospitals in the St. Louis area, and same thing on Bill Air Force Base in Northern California. Halloween night and the next day, you could take, I'm not kidding, you could take your plastic bag of candy. You remember this, John? Really? So you could take your candy to the hospital, and they would x-ray it for you to make sure like there was no needles or glass. That's how real this was back in the 70s and 80s. You know how many cases of drug-tainted, needle-tainted, broken glass-tainted candy there has been over the years? None, really. It was just a ploy by Mom and Dad to get the good stuff.
Yeah, I haven't checked
Leaving
my
us
kids'
with
candy.
The popcorn balls and the bit of honeys. What else is going on? Oh, the other thing that I feel really good about on a Feel Good Friday, John, what do you know about this development going in potentially at the Lake of the Ozarks? Wow. They really do. It looks pretty spectacular, and if this all happens, then hopefully it looks just as good as the pictures show. So it'd be a high visibility area, kind of like a theme park, 20 acres, including a 200-foot. It's called an observation wheel, which is French for
Ferris wheel.
Ferris wheel. And I'm super excited about this project. Another option to bring folks into Missouri, have them spend money. Another option for folks from all across the state to come here to mid-Missouri and drop their money, drop their cash, and go home. It would bring about 500 jobs, 500,000 visitors. That, according to Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe. By the way, one of the things that fall under the umbrella of being Lieutenant Governor, it's about Shop Missouri, Buy Missouri, Shop Local. I'm excited about that. I don't know how I feel about the Ferris wheel.
Ferris wheels are the worst.
Especially in August. You get on there and you got to spend 20 minutes while everybody else, you mean other people want to? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And in August, like at the state fair on that Ferris wheel, and you're at the very top and they're letting each chair off one by one.
Yeah, you only spin around like 2 times, and the rest of the time is just loading and unloading, and it's hot. I don't like heights either, so Ferris wheels are not my jam.
Yeah, it's just, it's really slow. Not knocking the project. I think ultimately this whole thing is very, very cool. Something to feel good about on a Feel Good Friday coming up 5 minutes from now. It's interesting because all of a sudden, this is new from Corinne Jean-Pierre, as much as she has campaigned from the pulpit there in the White House, all of a sudden she's been, common phrase we hear, well, the Hatch Act. I don't want to violate the Hatch. Somebody got to talking to. There is a White House
Geraldo. It's going to be a wave election, and you're going to lose the Senate, and I'll bet you $1,000 right now.
That's
$1,000?
$1,000.
Both chambers.
Both chambers, $1,000.
You
got it. Look at this.
All right, Jesse Waters, Geraldo Rivera last night on Fox. $1,000 bet. Jesse Waters says Republicans will take both chambers. Geraldo Rivera doesn't believe it's going to happen. Do you want to bet on who wins that bet? Any takers, Marsh? Steph, any takers?
I'm not really a betting kind of gal, but I'm kind of shocked that you haven't been betting on anything lately. Usually you want to bet on turnout and everything else.
Yeah, so if I'm sure about something, I will, but I just am not real, I'm not real sure about how this will turn out. And I want it to turn out where it's just not Democrats in office. It is bad. As a matter of fact, yesterday, Ron Klain, White House, he's a White House staffer. All of a sudden, Karine Jean-Pierre has gone up and she has campaigned. She has criticized people like you if you are a Trump supporter. She has criticized the Supreme Court of the United States. She's doubled down on the Jim Crow era laws. And then all of a sudden, she's never, in all of these things that she has said in her months as the White House press secretary, has never said anything about the Hatch Act. And the Hatch Act basically is you can't campaign using federal resources.
Yeah, you can't be on the official side doing campaigning.
And she does it really, I think, all the time.
Freedoms and women's rights, especially after this extreme decision that we saw come down on Roe by the Supreme Court.
She went on, and remember, she's criticized Supreme Court of the United States several times. She's criticized Republicans. You can't do that. Well, now somebody's actually in trouble. White House Chief of Staff, Ron Klain, been put on notice. Not really in trouble, just, hey, we saw what you did. Don't do that anymore. He violated federal law when he retweeted a partisan political message from his government Twitter account. So, yeah. And I don't know, Elon Musk, by the way, making it official, $44 billion for Twitter last night, about 10 o'clock our time, as we were calling it a day. He's rolling into his office, firing people left and right.
I love the title that he has given himself, Chief Twit. I love that.
That's a good sense of humor.
And we had a caller this morning say, hey, I've been banned and I logged in today and I can suddenly post on Twitter. I went ahead and resubmitted our application to get verified because Brian Houseworth is feeling pretty salty that we can't get a blue check mark on the Eagle.
I haven't heard Brian House. I'm trying to think of the last time I heard Brian Houseworth mad. Marsh, anything in your recent recollection? And with the exception of the check mark on Twitter, which is verified, you're this, you're that. He was mad this morning. You've seen him mad? The last time you can remember that you've seen him mad?
If we ever get a message on our Facebook page saying that, we need to fact check something.
Oh, he will.
Or he gets really frustrated when other news outlets get it wrong.
Yeah.
And he feels like they should have gotten it right. He is very dedicated to getting the news right.
And did I get something wrong earlier? I was asking this student loan forgiveness. So I just assumed it was, hey, we consider your loan paid, not we're sending you a check. Bloomberg Magazine says Biden predicts student loan relief checks within 2 weeks. President Joe Biden said his administration would prevail in lawsuits, plural, challenging his student relief plan and predicted that applicants would start getting checks within 2 weeks. That from Bloomberg. What do you know, Hannah, as you're actually going through the process? Is it just, no, we're paying it off for you, or are they going to send you a check?
I mean, my understanding is that I won't get a check in the mail. It'll just basically go to my loan balance directly. Because if they just send you a check in the mail, there's no guarantee that you're going to actually put that on your loans.
But you were saying if you paid in a certain time period that they might be reimbursing you for payments.
Yeah, it was something, I don't know the exact details, but it's something like if you've made student loan payments like between now and 2020, they were reimbursing some of those loan payments. And if you applied for that process, you are getting checks in the mail to reimburse you, essentially.
Ridiculous.
Biden says checks should be coming by November the 8th. I don't think that's what he said, but it's what he meant. 11 days till November the 8th. Somebody's willing to bet. One of our texts, 874-9390, willing to bet on these elections. said they're willing to bet a week's worth of Hannah's salary.
Thanks, Pat.
Where did they get that from?
You know, you missed the part where I said I was planning a wedding, Pat. Come on.
Coming up. A little bit after 8 o'clock, what's the horror movie that most of us watch here in Missouri? We have that. We have winners and losers here on a Feel Good Friday. Get your nominees in 874-9390. I think the Republican Party can be one of our winners of the week at 8:35 because of that debate performance by John Fetterman earlier this week. Good morning. Welcome into a Feel Good Friday. We pick winners and losers, 8:35. We do have some local suggestions, some local FFAers or 4-Hers. I don't remember. FFA, some of those. Somebody locally, you think this should be a winner of the week? Let us know. 874-9390. There's Stephanie Pell.
Good morning.
Ms. Producer Hannah is here.
Good morning.
And we're sporting red. Remember, everyone deployed. It's really cool. I think on Fridays we go out and see people in red. I'm like, oh, yeah, you take part too. You take part. It's like this collective thing that, like, we're all taking part in, and it's not on social media. It's like a real life thing, man.
And sometimes if I try to wear red in the middle of the week, Brandon looks at me funny. He goes, why are you wearing red? It's not Friday.
So I never owned a red I've never owned a red shirt until Hannah instituted this policy that mandated that we wear red shirts. It wasn't like that at all. I love taking part in it.
It's quite the opposite, actually.
It is quite the opposite. And so now I have like all kinds of red shirts. And if for some reason it'd be like a Tuesday morning and I'm getting ready and I pull out a shirt and I'm like, oh, it's red. I can't wear it today. That's the weirdest thing.
But you can. I mean,
yeah, you can. But I have this mind lock. Like, oh, it's not Friday. I'm not allowed to wear red.
And I felt left out when I started going to more Republican events and showing up, and everyone was wearing like a red blazer or a red dress. So now I have like a whole section of my closet, and people are like, "Oh, that red dress is so pretty for Christmas," and I'm like, "Who are you kidding? This is Republican red, not Christmas red."
You wore a nice red dress just last night, didn't you?
Yep, and I got another one for next Tuesday.
Great event last night.
We did. We were in Jefferson City for the RACS, the Rape and Abuse Crisis Center Masquerade Gala, the first one. Hopefully they bring it back. It was very well attended. We got to hear some of the women's stories who have benefited from the services RACS provides. It was very powerful.
I know that I'm glad you guys were there, and you both, by the way, look fantastic. They do a great job. There's no doubt.
Thank you.
Phil Freeman, who runs the, and I believe Phil's still involved at Freeman Mortuary, but for years he has raised money. He and his entire family have raised money for RACS, heavily involved in that, but I'm glad you're able to do that. They do a wonderful, wonderful job. Very difficult circumstances.
And City Manager Steve said hi, by the way, last night, Marsh. Yeah, Steve Crowell was there. Got to chat with him for a little bit. So it was really a good time. Great picture posted on our Wake Up Facebook page, too. Stephanie and I wearing masks. You got to go check out. Go check the picture. I will say that.
Looks
please.
Good.
Yeah, go check the picture. There's Mr. Brian Houseworth.
It's good to see you, sir.
Mexico High School's canceled today. We got some people have been sending us some screenshots apparently of some of these threats that went out, and I'm always like, well, should I share them or should I do the responsible thing and not?
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I made the decision with Matthew Pilger because he confirmed it with.
Okay.
He confirmed.
Good.
So I actually read it for people listening on the Eagle. It's one sentence. But I'm going to read it, and I'm going to read it because I want people to know what these schools deal with in the police. But this is an online threat that was on Snapchat, confirmed by Mexico Public Safety Chief Susan Rocket to my former colleague, Matthew Pilger, who is now the editor of the Mexico Ledger. And the threat reads like this, quote, "Everyone in MHS and MMS getting shot TF up," end of quote. And there's a smiley face, and I'm not sure what they call that, emoji, something like that, but there's a smiley face next to that sentence, and it's like somebody's laughing hysterically in the photo. So obviously they take it very seriously. They're trying to determine who did it. They're investigating, and there may be other agencies involved. But Matthew confirming that with Mexico Public Safety. No school today, and the reason they canceled, Brandon, because they want to keep everybody safe and they want to get to the bottom of this, meaning they want to catch who put this up there.
And there's some more of these apparently social media messages. Y'all MFKAS.
Oh, goodness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How would your mom react to that kind of language, Brian?
Not good. Mm-hmm. Not good.
Y'all MFKAs better be ready for tomorrow. Everyone in MHS and MMS getting shot up. Is that Moberly and Mexico or Moberly Middle or Mexico Middle School?
Yeah, it's strictly Mexico right now.
And then it says, deleting this account. I'll see y'all tomorrow, dough. And then it's got a 100% icon. And or emoji. Yeah, no, I think validly closed. I mean, if someone said that about your workplace, hey, all y'all are going to get shot up tomorrow. I don't think
we'll see you Monday then.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to come in.
No, and there's no
workplace.
school Monday, and in the school districts, and the governor's talked about this, Tashara Jones, and take all the politics out about, because I know people, Cori Bush has concerns about the guns as well. If you take all the politics out, everybody knows that these threats do happen. We never really know what is exactly in some of these threats. We know because Matthew was able to obtain some screenshots, and these ones that you have, Branden, that I don't even think Matthew has that of the paper, but they're very concerning. Imagine the school district had no choice. They had to do this, and hopefully maybe there's more than one, but at least one person's posting this, and hopefully they'll be able to find out who did it. I would think they'd be able to trace that back, but I don't know. I'm not a computer forensic expert, but I would hopefully they'd be able to track who put that up there.
Hannah's our show Snapchat expert.
Yes.
Okay. Can you post anonymously to Snapchat?
Not that I'm aware of.
Huh.
Interesting. Well, hopefully nothing happens there. Hopefully it was just somebody being a moron, and hopefully they'll get the help.
It is.
Yeah. It is, yeah, especially as a parent, I would think. And we've had several cases in Jefferson City this week. We had, one or two cases of something like this? Just one? Paintball gun.
Yeah, the Rockbridge thing was unconfirmed. In fact, they determined there was no threat there, but someone thought they saw a person with a gun. They sent a lot of activity there, but the Rockbridge thing, the Rockbridge incident, if you will, turned out to be no threat, and there was no gun involved, thankfully. But the police are thankful to the person that called that in.
Has anybody heard, moving on to the next thing, anybody heard Trump coming back to Twitter? MSNBC heard it.
Side note, just a moment ago, Trump himself issued a statement congratulating Elon Musk on buying Twitter. He says his account will be back on Monday.
They got duped. Somebody duped MSNBC and a whole bunch of other folks. I think it was shared actually by a former Trump staffer who started putting out, hey, Trump's coming back to Twitter. No, he's not. I mean, he might, but he hadn't said it.
What would his first tweet be?
Kofefe.
And we'll see. I would hope that the national outlet like that would confirm that before running with it, because their audience, specifically MSNBC's audience, and I don't know what time of the day she's on, but if she's on at prime time, their ratings are pretty decent. A lot of people would see that, and their audience would definitely be very worked up over hearing that.
Oh, and do have some of the latest cable ratings, and Fox is always, a lot of times, they're number one amongst all cable channels. They are certainly number one when it comes to the news networks, but here's something else that's even better than just being number one and what it means. In the 25 to 54 demo, which some people say that's a younger demo. Gosh. 25-54 demo. They're beating MSNBC, CNN, and bringing in more people in that 25 to 54 demo. It's important for them because that's where the bread and butter is. That's where the money comes from. You can sell advertising. Well, we've got a million people, 80 plus, that watch Fox. It doesn't no good when it comes to advertising. And we here, Wake Up Mid-Missouri, happen to know a little something about ratings. Mm-hmm. So you have to be the 25-54. So it's important for Fox for advertising, but I think it's important for politics because it's showing that I think even more and more younger people are gravitating towards that because they're not liking the lies and the BS that's being spewed on MSNBC or CNN. And we heard misinformation last night. It's a major cable news network, MSNBC, and nobody had the wherewithal to do a simple Houseworth or Marsh on the job, and that is fact check what you're being told. So here we are in mid-Missouri hanging out with two of the most talented journalists I've ever been able to work with in my entire life, and they can fact check stuff, but people at these national news outlets like MSNBC and CNN, they can't seem to manage a fact check.
Yes. In John, I'm sure you agree with this, but the bottom line on some of these shows, when I see quote unquote journalists up there discussing, it's like they're spewing stuff, and you wonder, are they fact checking this? And it's just I miss Walter Cronkite, I miss Roger Mudd, I miss John Chancellor. Those were the days. And I that's the way it worked. Exactly.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
MSNBC is no better than Facebook or TikTok or whatever. There's, this was just handed to me. Oh, look, Trump's coming back on Twitter. It's like like a social media poster with no consequences for spewing BS.
The other thing that it was a former president, Ronald Reagan, that had, but I think you could take that, and he was talking about politics. You could apply it as well to journalism or sports, or you could apply it to coaching, whatever.
You can apply it to anything.
But trust but verify.
Somebody tells you some gossip out in the office.
Yeah, trust but verify.
Trust the gossip. But then go and ask other people, hey, Stephanie, did you hear this about Hannah? Trust the gossip you are being told, but verify the gossip.
That's true.
Trust but verify.
Well, I love that people are kind of using the Elon Musk takeover to just like post things that they know people have been censored for and be like, just testing the waters here. And so I saw one tweet and it said, 1, masks never work. 2, inflation wasn't transitory. 3, not a vaccine if no immunity. 4, men can't get pregnant. 5, lab leak theory is plausible. And he said, just testing the waters here, seeing if I get banned.
All facts. There by the way, anybody watch scary movies for Halloween? Marsh, is this your thing? Is this something you do? Yeah, what do you like to watch? Man, that is going way back. Steph, you into scary movies?
I have never liked scary movies. I try not to watch them.
Because they scare you, or you just don't like them?
Yeah, they're just not enjoyable for me.
I do have the number one. This is based on internet searches and stuff like that, but the movie that the majority of Missouri, when it comes to Halloween movies, the movie that the majority of Missourians apparently like to watch. Anna, you into the scary movies?
I am. I don't watch them as much as I used to. My fiance does not like scary movies, and I don't like to watch them by myself. The Insidious series is some of my favorite movies.
So I have seen one of the Insidious movies, one of the Conjuring movies, and I recall those were okay, but because I was comparing them to The Exorcist. That is the only movie, and I don't watch scary movies because they don't scare me. I don't find that they're just not fascinating for me, and I know a lot of people do. I will watch The Exorcist, and to this day, I'm a 51-year-old grown man. Well, I'm a 51-year-old man. That movie, to this day, scares the heck out of me. You're messing with stuff you shouldn't ought to be messing with there. Most popular Halloween movie in Missouri, according to Internet Trends.
Charlie Brown.
The Black Phone. I've never even heard of it.
Yeah, I haven't either.
The Black Phone. If somebody has seen The Black Phone, give us a call. 874-9390. Is this worth watching?
It's like the Blair Witch. I remember that.
Oh, gosh. Remember how much of a... That, man, you talk about selling the sizzle, but then having no steak to go with that sizzle.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of states' favorite movie. You had some that had Scream, Poltergeist, Halloween. See, the Halloween movies, slash movies never did anything for me. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think everybody should watch that, John. The original. Watch it. Yeah, watch it just to say that you've seen it. Not that the movie is inherently entertaining or anything. The Black Phone, if you've seen The Black Phone, 874-9390, because not only was it the most popular horror flick in Missouri, it was the most popular horror flick in a lot of states. So coming up, maybe we can take a phone call on this, plus Morning Bell, business news, little twist only Stephanie Bell can give you. What do you got, Steph?
We have to do it. We have to talk about Elon, but some things maybe you haven't heard.
Good morning, 8:28 time for the Morning Bell. Business news with a little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Well, we've been talking a lot about Elon today, and I have a crush on Elon and have for a long time. I love that he's putting his money where his mouth is and actually going forward with this sale. One thing that people aren't talking about, but they've already done to file, is Twitter has filed to pull the shares from the stock market. Before they were a publicly owned company, now that Elon has bought it. And there's all sorts of regulations and things around what they have to publicly disclose when you're a publicly traded company, but it is going private officially, which may allow him to, shake up internally some things. The other thing is those folks that got fired, they're walking away with massive sums of money, which we kind of knew was coming. And then my other favorite update, remember how he took his mom to one of those really special events? He tweeted out a message to advertisers, and she retweeted and said, "Wonderful message," with a heart emoji, #proudmom. And isn't that the cutest ever? I mean, you're like one of the world's richest people, and your mom's still like one of your biggest hype people. Like, that's just so sweet.
Like your parents, they're proud of you because
they're living off of your money.
Yeah, because you've become an attorney. Well, what'd your kid do this year? Like the brag Christmas card. Well, my Stephanie graduated from Mizzou from law school, and now she's in her Ellinger and Associates. And what did your kids do? Oh, he bought Twitter.
And his sister, isn't his sister the one with like the adult book thing? I think everyone in their family is pretty successful. We've talked about this before, but anyway, yeah, it would be hard to be his sibling with as successful as he's been.
I don't know what you're talking about, Hannah. Do you?
Pretty sure it was Elon's
No, I don't.
sister.
Interesting. Coming up 5 minutes from now. Winners and losers of the week. Who do you got locally? Let us know. Send a text, 874-9390, and comments on this movie, The Black Phone.
Sometimes the teachers would say this. They'd say, "There's no such thing as a stupid question." I liked it when they said. You know what I would do when they said that? I would raise my hand. Yes, Mrs. Baxter, is it possible for a 12-year-old boy to get pregnant from reading comic books? No? Oh, okay, I got some misinformation from my older brother.
Dennis Regan, that was pretty funny several years ago, but I'm wondering, for real, seriously, talking points aside, if that is happening in schools, little boy in class, teacher, I'm a 12-year-old boy, can I get pregnant? And the teacher's saying, you sure can. No, you can't. Welcome into a feel-good Friday edition of Wake Up Mid-Missouri. There is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Hausworth in the house.
It's good to see you both. Thank you. And Hannah, too.
Producer Hannah, by the way, somebody, Marsh, who can we credit for this great idea for Hannah's sweatshirt? Hannah, we wear red. As a matter of fact, if you watch on our YouTube channel, Wake Up Mid-Missouri, you can watch us every morning. You'll notice, hey, they're all wearing red. Is that by design? Do you all call it Dennis the Text?
Mm-hmm.
But Hannah's wearing a pretty cool shirt today that her mama got her.
Yeah, it says Future Mrs. It's a sweatshirt.
Marsh has a better idea. What is it, bud? Dennis,
good job.
Thank you, Dennis. You're going to be one of our winners of the week. My name is Branden Rathert. Thank you for being here. Before we do get into winners and losers of the week, Rob, what are you grateful for today?
Morning. So there's a charity called Cycle for the Kids, and it's a group of bicyclists who do rides to raise money to support the children fallen special operations warriors in the U.S. military. And my cousin, who is 67 years old and married to a retired Green Beret, and her son is active duty in the Army, is this morning completing a salt-to-salt bicycle ride. She has ridden from the Pacific Ocean, and today at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, will dip her tire into the Atlantic Ocean in Delaware. And she's 67 years old, and she's done this. She started at the end of July and has been riding every day, and 3 months later is completing this ride to raise money for children.
And so this is going to be happening 11 o'clock Eastern Time, so about an hour, 20 minutes from now. Your cousin, now is she live here in mid-Missouri?
No, she lives in Nevada.
Okay.
And her family lives there, and so she has a long line of military in her family, her father, lots of cousins, and, of course, her husband and her son. And we grew up in the Kansas City area. But she is finishing that this morning,
cool.
which is quite an accomplishment for a 67-year-old grandmother to achieve.
That's an accomplishment for anybody. Hell, that'd be an accomplishment for Lance Armstrong. C to C, I love that. So she is one of our, so that's what you are grateful for today, and we will call her one of our winners of the week. Rob, we appreciate you taking time out of your day to be part of the show, man.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see you.
And now for nominees for the winners and losers of the week.
All right, winners and losers of the week, 874-9390, 874-9390. So there's a winner of the week. Got a couple of local ones. Tom says, Tom says, June Pitchford. June Pitchford is the auditor for Boone County. She's been there 30 years. And we just
1994, I believe. It's
been a while.
Yeah, basically 30 years.
Yeah, so Boone County auditor. So who do we get to replace June Pitchford? Mr. Gibson, who is running for auditor. Anything else locally?
Yeah, I've got a winner. Helias softball team is headed to the state championship today, I believe.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting, right here mid-Mo.
Yeah, they play at 10 a.m. this morning. And yeah, that's for the Class 4 state title in softball.
It's incredible. That's a big deal. It really is. And Chanel Porter had a real nice piece on them this week on Channel 17.
Chanel Porter, she's the one that used to be a news anchor. Now she's anchoring doing sports.
She's
pretty cool. Yeah.
Just enjoy the time we get to see her. I really, so I told her, God, I'd give anything to have somebody like that on our staff. She's so talented, and she could be a sideline reporter, but she could be a great news person. I mean, she was in that Addie piece up there in Moberly. Great future, but she really did a nice piece on Helias and really profiled the team that they have.
And Helias actually won the state title in 2019.
Yes.
And now they're playing again for it in 2022. So
Very cool.
Awesome.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Helias softball is pretty good.
Yes.
National FFA Convention wrapping up. Our FFA members heading home today. Boonville FFA received a Premier Chapter Award as one of the best chapters in the entire nation. Winners of the weekend. And thanks for letting us know that June Pitchford and Elias and some of these things you already know. But that's why we always encourage you, send us your nominations for winners and losers of the week. And I personally, I don't know about the rest of us, but I love more of the local stuff. I mean, it's easy to pick. And there's some Biden stuff in here and winners. Well, usually we try to not even do Biden because it's enough. But remarkable week he had this week. But I love the local stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, on the state level, we talked about people getting duped by Trump coming back to Twitter nationally. I guess a bunch of folks were duped by a typo on Schmidt's campaign report. And he filed his FEC report.
Is that just a typo?
I don't know. His campaign says they accidentally changed the office from Senate to president. And I mean, liberals yesterday freaked out and they were like, can you believe it? He hasn't even gotten elected to the Senate. Now he's trying to be our next president. Oh my gosh. And they were like, okay, wait a minute.
Hold on.
Simmer down.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I do have, Brandon, two quick nominations. I was at two events this week. The Columbia Police Department yesterday, their cold case. I've never, you know how Jeff Jones is. He's very intense and emotional, but he and Jeremiah Johnson, they were really laser focused on what they talked about, and that is a horrible case. So they really want people to come forward if they have any information. They believe there are other possible victims out there. Please come forward. We'll continue to get that number on the news. And then I met two listeners, and I met a number of farmers down there, but two listeners who love listening to the Eagle. They're both farmers down in Wooldridge, John Clay Jr. and John Clay Sr., and I appreciate their hospitality. Just devastation down there, and what those two gentlemen have gone through. One of the older gentlemen is the senior, is the head of the levee district in Overton and Wooldridge. They lost combines, but I appreciate them listening, and just as I told them, country folk helping country folk.
Amen.
That's what it is. That's really what it is.
You're exactly right. And I want to, for winners of the week, these at least 50 different agencies from all across the Show Me State that came here to Mid-Missouri to help us out. Yes. 874-9390. Rich says he has a winner. Who you got, bud?
I was going to say Kelly Murphy from the mayor of Wooldridge.
That's
She's
a good call.
taken care of that town pretty good over the years, and she kind of takes the weight of all this stuff on her shoulders.
Man, thank you, Rich. That is a great call. She is, because she's been, Wooldridge, very small town. She's the mayor. She handles business there. And all of a sudden, you're front and center on a statewide story that's gotten some national play. Yeah. And she has stepped up to the plate. Rich, thank you for that, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, good call.
The governor really gave her a shout out. And Kelly is mayor, the mayor, I call her Kelly, but the mayor there in Wooldridge. She's very proud of what she's done. She is so humble. She did not step up onto the stage to speak with the governor and the congresswoman, although she could have. She just kind of wanted one of the others to be up there. But they really love the work she's doing down there. But gosh, she's got her hands full. It's pure devastation.
Marsh, what do you have for winners and losers? Yeah. Yeah.
He can have a normal off season. I spoke with him this morning. He's excited. He's energized, and obviously, you think about how we look at our roster next year. You're always going to be needing pitching, and so having him come back is certainly helpful for all of us.
That's John Mozeliak. He's the big dude with the St. Louis Cardinals, talking about what John Marsh was just talking about. Well, we should get Houseworth back in here. Remember how passionate Houseworth gets about stuff gets misreported? Because between Houseworth and Marsh, really, you guys are all on it. Houseworth stepped out. He's taking care of some news stuff. But he gets upset when people... Sorry, I'm having a text exchange with a local law enforcement agency right now.
Did we get something wrong?
We did not.
Did Brian? Oh, no.
No, we we collectively, right? We win as a team, we fail as a team, right? Yeah. And it wasn't intentional, but I think he's done it before. Brian Houseworth, one of our assistant police chiefs in Columbia, is Jeremiah Johnson. It's not Johnson, it's Jeremiah Hunter.
Yes.
Who does something incredible. I thought Jeremiah was a bullfrog.
I have people in my life where their names are like so close, I will often refer to them as the wrong thing. I guess there were 392 losers out there, according to the Missouri Department of Conservation. Did you see this story yesterday? They issued 400 permits in the last season for bears. Yeah. Only 8 people got one.
So there's 400 permits, and I think it was like 5,000 people applied.
Yep.
400 permits, 8 bears bagged, 4 of them by bow. Which
pretty incredible. Second, Missouri's.
Or instead of shooting, listen, I lived out west for a lot of years. Animal conservation efforts between grizzly bears and wolves. I'm all for it. Bring them back. But I always laugh. And I get it. I know why it's done. But in Missouri, we said, oh, look, the black bears back in their natural habitat. Because you know why they left? We chased them out. Man chased them out. I mean, that's a simple fact. Yeah. Okay, great. We got enough bears now. Let's go out and kill some. Get rid of some. I always find it laughable. I get why we do it. But maybe you're onto something there, Marsh, instead of going out and shooting and killing them. Because do people eat bear meat?
They make a rug out of it, right?
Or show people the pictures. Look what I shot and killed. Bear.
It was a big controversy last year here, the deer hunting season, so I'm excited. It's just a couple weeks away.
Well, it's coming. Also on the front of hunting, somebody, and I can't remember exactly where. I can't remember if it was Osage County. Somebody, you saw this story then, right? What the heck you got to do that for? Somebody went out and just shot some deer, harvested deer, whatever. It's not deer season. I think it was Boise. Just dumped them. Man, we want to chat with Hal Dooley, cartoonist for the Jefferson City News Tribune. Also
Jim Dyke.
Jim Dyke. What did I say?
Hal Dooley.
Hey, Houseworth. All right, let's get out of this one and move forward before I open my mouth, stick my foot in it.
Jeremiah Johnson.
Jeremiah Johnson.
Here's a big old serving of leftovers. Enjoy.
All right, some things we didn't get time to get to on the show today. A couple of quick texts before we chat with Jim Dyke. Monty says, if I shot a bear, I'd eat it. Steve said, we talk about winners of the week. 400 permits were issued. So Steve says, well, then 392 bears are winners. Thank you for that. A lot of things happening this weekend. Want to bring in Jim Dyke. Probably see a lot of his work over the years. Jefferson City News Tribune, cartoonist, does excellent work in there. He did a piece over the summer. Still like to go back and look at. They got folks all upset. Also, as you're walking through the edge of downtown Jefferson City, you will see Cottonstone Gallery. I've been in there before. It's a pretty impressive place. Bunch of things happening downtown this weekend. What do you got for us, Jim?
Hey, good morning. I've got Saturday, 11 till 2. We have High Street Trick or Treat down High Street with all the participating businesses. And we usually have anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000 people. Even in the rain, it's a very large crowd.
Well, tomorrow, hopefully, tomorrow will be beautiful. Sunshine, 65 tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks great. It looks really great. And then later in the morning, let's see, closer to a little afternoon, you can wander from here over to the governor's mansion and tour the mansion too. So it's going to be a fun downtown day. Streets are open. That's one of the key things about this event. Streets are open and people are strolling on the sidewalks. It's working downtown the way downtown's supposed to work. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Amen. Starting 11 o'clock tomorrow, a whole bunch of things downtown Jefferson City. Jim Dyke, Cottonstone Gallery, joining us. Do you get, when people come in, are you doing like specifically fall? I'm guessing you would have been doing it a while ago, but do you get people to come in, hey, I want some Halloween pieces. I want a horrifying piece of art. Is that stuff you do?
Not so much sometimes. Maybe a cartoon in the paper is kind of like that.
Yeah, but, I've seen those.
Not like a scary painting on the wall. When I'm at the state fair doing caricatures, I've had people want me to draw them like zombies with their eyes hanging out of the sockets, or maybe half is the guy's face and the other half is the girl's face, or maybe half their head is missing and brains hanging out. Weird stuff like that, but not as far as an actual serious painting. No, nobody's really asked for that.
All right, it's Jim Dyke, Cottonstone Gallery, downtown Jefferson City. If you ever get a chance, cool place to pop into. And I think one of the coolest things, the last time that I was there, I went in, and it was the first time I'd met Jim. I wasn't sure, and dude's on the floor, and he's like prepping artwork and stuff, and like didn't even look up, carried on a conversation with it. And I'm like, that's some focus as an artist to be able to do that. A lot of things happening downtown tomorrow. Downtown Jefferson City starts at 11. You've got the governor's mansion thing, and we've got some great weather lined up. Jim Dyke, Cottonstone Gallery, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your support, and we'll look forward to seeing you again real soon.
I appreciate it. Come down and get some candy tomorrow.
Amen. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Butterfingers, no Milk Duds, no candy corn, no popcorn balls.
Bit of honey.
No bit of honey. What the heck is that, by the way, Marsh? And it's not really honey. It's just plain wax with a dash of honey.
I'm so vanilla. I love just like the plain M&Ms. Your favorites, Reese's?
Probably Reese. Yeah, I don't eat a lot of sweets. Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I like those. Guess what? Gary Nolan Show is coming up next. This is my dad's favorite radio show here on the radio station. He's here. Have a great weekend. See you Monday.
Bye.